Hopefully it will generate less criticism.
It will be more. It will be more because these guys are calling this film as a violent film. I want to tell them, I'll show them what violent film will be.
My god, have I actually watched the most violent and the brutal film on the big screen? Hands down. This film just pushes every single barrier and have gone overboard in showcasing the extreme brutality and the bloodshed on screen. And you know what? I personally love that about this film. This is what we need when we say we are going to witness the R-rated brutal action movie. It's something that is not everyone's cup of tea, as it shows so much that the viewers who are faint-hearted will be puking after witnessing the near-climax visuals on screen. So please make a distance from this movie if you can't handle the gruesome and the brutal scenes to its excess. So hello everyone. I have watched Marco starring Unni Mukundan and directed by Haneef Adeni in a packed theatre, and here is Cine Samvad tries to talk about some good, bad and few noteworthy aspects of this film. Marco is truly a stylish yet gruesome dive into the world of violence and revenge. It sets out to be a high-octane action thriller exploring the themes of vengeance and violence involving family dynamics. I think it truly draws the inspiration from hyper-masculine revenge tropes from John Wick films and certainly The Transporter, and it aims to make a bold mark on the world stage of R-rated action cinema genre. The plot of the movie revolves around the character of Victor, who was visually impaired, and a younger brother of George, played by Siddique, and Marco, played by Unni Mukundan. There's a brutal murder of Victor, and this sets off a bloody chain of events further involving dangerous underworld and a gold empire controlled by very much powerful factions. Marco is someone who is fierce and vows to take revenge on those who are responsible for his brother Victor's death. It was apparently revealed in the story itself that the people responsible for the Victor's death are actually much closer to him than he thinks. And further, the quest of revenge just spirals out of control in the screenplay, and the viewers await to see the upcoming brutality and bloodbath on the screen. Now, jumping to my overall review of the film, so I think the basic premise of the movie is actually really straightforward and revolves mostly around the revenge angle, but the execution of the screenplay in the movie is something that makes it really distinct and interesting. Marco's journey into the revenge mode is marked by a series of intense action scenes and bloody confrontations. The first half of the movie totally sets the stage of the revenge narrative while initially showcasing some emotional depth on the family dynamics and further highlighting the relation between Victor and Marco. It all starts bloody just before the pre-interval fight scene, which certainly was one of the standout action scenes in the film. It is particularly the scene where the real action starts to ramp up, and it reveals so much about the film and tells that what kind of film Marco is actually going to be in its second half. In other half of the film, Marco's quest for revenge intensifies multifold as he wages a one-man war against a powerful criminal syndicate family led by the villainous Tony, played by Jagadish. It turns out that this revenge saga is not going to be that simple, while the stakes in the movie continues to rise. But I think there are still places where the film could have worked more, which includes the meaningful character development in the film, because the movie just over-relies on the action sequences alone, at the expense of good character development, as the bad people in the film are just bad, no more explanations. The emotional connections in the film were so passable as well, whether it is between Marco and his fiancée or sometimes with his adoptive brother George as well. Also, the adversaries of Marco in the film are also sidelined in favor of the action-packed, blood-soaked spectacle. But nonetheless, the action sequences are choreographed so well in the movie that you will jump on your seat and clap while witnessing the action scenes in the movie. Unni Mukundan playing Marco has delivered a career-defining performance. He has effortlessly showcased his physicality, presence, and his ability in the action sequences, which is actually plausible. But the main issue with Marco, unfortunately, is that the script of the film just doesn't allow much depth beyond the revenge narrative. There are no subplots or anything to explore in the film. Marco's backstory, his relationship with his fiancée, and even his emotional journey with his adoptive family are barely explored. The movie's antagonist Tony Isaac again feels like that same stereotypical mafia godman with little depth or complexity. So ultimately the antagonist character lacks the emotional weight needed for a truly engaging villain. On the other hand, only Siddique's portrayal of George, who was Marco's adoptive brother, offers a slight emotional anchor which defines the relationship. But still, it feels unexplored as well, and ultimately overshadowed by the film's focus on the relentless action and the revenge narrative. The film already sets a path and defines itself as the unhinged, bloody action drama. And that is the thing that the film does so amazingly. And that is the defining feature of the movie. That includes the extreme violence, which is graphically disturbing and unrelenting. From brutal dismemberments to vicious stabbings, Marco pulls no punches at all and truly pushes the boundaries of what is acceptable in terms of gore on the screen. Director Haneef Adeni embraces the film's overall violent nature, but at times the brutality feels so excessive that it overshadows any potential of emotional depth or narrative innovation. But somewhere I think the makers are true to their idea and honest on their approach on what they were actually making. That is why I give Marco the deserved appreciation on what it has done, and it was truly commendable. The movie's cinematography excels in creating visually striking moments, and the framing of the scenes truly enhance the slick action sequences in the film. Again, I want to mention that the fight choreography was beyond impressive, especially in those confined spaces like hallways and staircases, which was the best among all the scenes in the film. Honestly, I can rewatch the whole film in theatre just for that fight scene in the film. The background score, composed by Ravi Basroor, really pumps up the adrenaline with its beats, totally heightening up the intensity of the action. Both the action scenes and the score suits up very well in the ongoing screenplay and pumps you up. The pacing of the film was really good as well, but sometimes it left you confused on how it is going to approach in the second half, as the storyline doesn't give much space to nearly any other thing or any subplot in the screenplay. With the first half building to an explosive interval, the second half sometimes loses its footing as the action scenes pile on without much emotional payoff. Marco's quest for vengeance, rooted in protecting his family and avenging his brother's death, becomes destructive by the end of the movie, as this emotion totally consumes him. I think the film overall presents a brutal portrayal of masculinity, and it leaves the audience with a sense of unease without offering much substance in the story. There is hardly any relevant woman character in the film. Rather, they all are relegated to the background with little agency or development, and this further sidelines the emotional depth the film could have explored. But overall, I think Marco is a film that's solely aimed at the fans of stylized action and the intense violent scenes. Movie actually delivers the high-octane action sequences with its impressive choreography, and it relies on gore and graphic violence mostly. So if you are truly in the mood for a brutal, action-heavy revenge thriller, Marco is totally a worth-watching experience. Just make your heart a little stronger and be warned, as it's not for the faint-hearted. Ultimately, the film totally attempts to carve out a unique niche in the Malayalam industry by blending action with the vengeance emotion and its formulaic approach to action cinema with a style. Now, turning to the marks of the film, so I would give this one an honest 8 out of 10. I think Marco succeeds in setting a standard or a benchmark to the world of action cinema, and it is truly an enjoyable ride that gets revealed in front of you in style. I truly believe that this is something that can easily match the international standards, but the film's violent and adrenaline-pumping action sequences overpower the overall narrative and overshadows the emotional core. So ultimately, it's a stylish and thrilling ride filled with brutality and gore.
ഞാൻ വന്നപ്പോ മുതലുള്ള ചെന്നായകൾ എന്നെ കൂട്ടം കൂടി അടിക്കാൻ നോക്കാം. ഇനി ഇവിടെ ഞാൻ മതി.
So now that concludes my review and few thoughts on the film Marco. I think this is something that will engage the fans of the R-rated action genre and certainly can give a hard time to any big action film that you have seen before. If you would like to watch something full-on action-packed with graphic violence in it, then just don't wait and go watch this one. You'll not be disappointed for sure. I love to hear your overall thoughts on the film, so feel free to add your take in the comment section of the video and let's have a healthy discussion. Also, if you have liked this discussion, so please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel for more content ahead. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at CineSambad for short reviews and cinematic insights. Thank you for watching. We'll meet in the next one. Cheers.